So a lot of people have asked me in the comment section from a lot of my videos about how to do a pull-up. And I've been meaning to do a tutorial. One of the things I would recommend is what I call prerequisite strengths. And for any complex movement, you know, really a pull-up is a complex movement, you need to have a certain degree of strength. And one of the first things I would tell someone to do is develop grip strength. And the best and easiest way to do that is to simply dead hang, which is why I'm kind of famous on this account, is because of my dead hang video. And this, as simple as it is and seems, is a great exercise. And while you do this, you can make it a compound exercise. One thing you need to practice when doing the pull-up is called the hollow. And if you notice, my legs are forward of my arms, and this is called the hollow. And when you perform the pull-up, you don't really want to pull yourself straight up. You kind of want to have your feet forward. And this actually helps when you want to do something more complex, like a muscle up. And the hollow works on your core, and it's just a great basic exercise and movement to have. After you master the dead hang, or at least get enough time under tension, and that's the biggest part that I'll mention, is time under tension is the biggest part of the pull-up and really any strength building exercise that involves your body weight. It's how long you're actually hanging or under tension. And one of the things you want to work on is the time under tension from a dead hang. And then once you get that mastered, using a band, resistance band, you want to learn the range of motion and just the muscle memory from the actual movement. Because believe it or not, if you don't know, your muscles don't know the movement, it makes it much, much harder for it to actually learn the movement, if that makes sense. And what the band does is if you strap it over the bar and put your foot in it, like a stirrup, kind of do the hollow position, feet forward, it teaches your arms and your body and your back the actual movement of it. Because if you didn't have this ability, you'd be struggling to get yourself up and be like doing this constantly. And that brings us to part 2. Okay, so part 2, I would say, is to work on lowering yourself for the eccentric portion. And this goes also with time under tension. And what people kind of misunderstand is they focus too much on the pulling part, hence the name pull-up. But what really gives you the strength is the time under tension, but more importantly, lowering yourself. And this is where the band comes into play. And you don't need the band, you can actually jump, but the band is nice. So the band actually gives you a boost to get yourself up. And then you can kind of release the band, but then release yourself slowly downward, if that makes sense. And then put tension on the band, push yourself up, lift your leg up, and now you're supporting yourself with your arms. This builds a tremendous amount of strength. Then you try and pull yourself up constantly. And it's this constant time under tension that's going to build the strength up. And that's where I'll stop. And so the last part is when you put it all together. Well, technically before that, what I want to point out is retracting your shoulder blades in this contraction, and that's what gets your chin over the bar. And one of the things you want to focus on is when you come up is to actively squeeze your shoulder blades backwards, because that's what actually pops or presses your chin over the bar. It's that contraction of your back. This contraction, and you can feel it if you work on it without load, that's what brings your chin that last little bit. And that would be part 3 or part 4. I'm just keeping track. But thanks for watching. Okay, so I might not have explained this completely in the pull-up tutorial, but this is the importance of learning how to do the hollow and why it helps on any pull movement with a bar. Having that curvature, your feet forward, what that creates is this momentum with your body. If you're pulling straight up, you're kind of morphologically jamming into things. When you're in a hollow position, you're kind of following a curve into the bar as opposed to jamming into the bar. So to try to illustrate, this is me jamming into the bar straight up. This is me in the hollow. And what you do is create some momentum. See the difference? And you're kind of curling into it as opposed to pulling into it, as opposed to curling into it and pulling into it. It's much better illustrated when I'm not jamming my head up against the ceiling. But that's the kind of momentum you want to kind of create, is this curvature as opposed to going straight up.